for it. So it's just absolutely disgusting. One of the other big stories coming down the tracks, Israel is purchasing a whole whack of gas masks for its entire population. So there's a YouTube video out talking about war by the end of February. If there's anything to be a barometer for the coming conflagration, Israel stocking up on gas masks would probably be the ticket. So that's something to use for your travel itineraries, I'm sure. Stay out of the Middle East. And then we go to our British friends and we wonder, what other demonic things could you possibly do to the world, to the environment, to our bodies, that you haven't even come so close yet. But of course they do come close. They come out with something called gray goo. Nanoparticles are going to be put in the food. So a former head of the Food Standards Agency in Britain is coming clean on this, talking about this stuff. So it's going to go in all the stuff we appreciate: low-calorie chocolate, beer that doesn't go flat. So if you see any great claims by a product, you could probably leave your beer open, just standing like some Jell-O for years, and nothing's ever going to happen to it with these nanoparticles in it. But of course, the bad part is it can worm its way into your brain, your liver, your kidneys, and have unknown consequences to your health. Cosmetics that contain nanoparticles will have to be labeled clearly, but things that you ingest don't appear to have the same regulation. But of course, they banned colloidal silver in Europe, something that's completely natural, just silver particulate in sterile water, something that you can take intravenously with absolutely no ill effects. You can take it orally with no ill effects. But still they ban it, and they give us the poisons instead. So you get this wonderful stuff that could be in your ice cream soon, something you can give your children. It increases the shelf life of the food. Of course it can. It turns it almost into something like plastic. So how can it ever go bad? I know my son picks out some, juicy things that have been lying around for way too long, and just wonder, well, this has been in the bottom of the fridge for like how many years, and it still looks like the day we put it in there. What is it really? Sure as hell isn't food. One of the biggest complaints we get is they're surprised that people seem to want to criticize this industry. I wonder why. Another great warning for people in the Chesapeake area. They're having a lot of problems with radioactive water in the Chesapeake Bay watershed. So there's a lot of stuff and a lot of activity for groups that are looking at just normal pollution or byproducts, looking at the dead zones. But one of the biggest things is there's radioactive affluent in the water. So there's no wonder that you have dead zones. And if you have enough of this stuff, well, I guess the whole area can be a dead zone. But do people take to the streets? Do they jump up and down? Do they scream and yell? Do they do anything? No, they just take it and take it and take it and take it with their gray goo, perhaps. Maybe some nice radioactive water from Chesapeake Bay is probably approved by the European Union, and that evil colloidal silver, we can just get rid of that. We have a big blockbuster. Mr. Cameron's come up with a new movie, Avatar. This movie is just, breaking box office records tooth and nail, coming out in 3D. And, I just had a bad feeling about that one when Agent 99 asked me to go and watch it. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. And then, of course, after a little bit of time goes by, then we see on CNN and some of the other mainstream media, people watching this are getting the Avatar blues. Some people are getting just extremely depressed and having suicidal thoughts and tendencies. And you just have to wonder what's going on. It doesn't take too far to break through the veil to see what's going on. If we can show the big screen there, blue, we can show a shot from Avatar with our nice little skull there, and we see a man looking at an image of a brain on a screen, and then you wonder if that's your brain as the pulsating images come into your mind. How you do the 3D movies, or the way they're supposed to be doing them with eliminating headaches and some of the ill effects, is you have a pulsating picture going from one eye to the other eye, almost at 144 times per minute, so that you just put basically a pulse signal into your brain. You're actually, because you're using the optic nerve to go straight into the brain, you're actually programming the mind. It's easy to put things in there. Is that one of the, New World Order top-end things to make us docile and complacent, is to make us, look at these colors and effects and just anesthetize us from the front? How many of us would fight tooth and nail before we take a vaccine? How many of us would resist before they come off with some of these other New World Order scams with genetically modified food or gray goo? But no, this one's a popular one. We all rush and line up to see this great movie. But again, part of the military-industrial complex, the mega corporations. What's one way they're going to get at you? Through your ears, with sounds, through your eyes, with sight of various frequencies pulsated into your brain. Is that something to help put us to sleep? So it's something we have to think about. We're opening up, just like you open up your computer when you click onto a website, you're opening up your mind when you click onto something to take it in. Part of the story behind the picture is Jake, a former Marine who is confined to a wheelchair following a war on Earth, is selected to take part in the Avatar program, where his mind will control a healthy body on a remote world, and sent to Pandora, a rainforest-covered moon with a mix of beautiful and terrifying creatures. But is this like part of the plot for us, the Avatar program, where our minds are taken over from another location and fed whatever they need to be fed? So one of the medical articles that was out was some 3D movies, a pain in the head, and I'm sure you can find many, many others, because, you have to stand on guard for yourself and be your own advocate. Sometimes they use candy to lure you to the car, just like the pedophile lures the children with some sweet gift. So you have to stop and think sometimes, what are some of the effects? Maybe if you want to watch the movie, forego the 3D glasses and let their pulsations just go into someone else's mind. We see a great deal of resistance in Iceland. The president of Iceland threw the banksters a major curveball, and you have to really, really admire the man for his chutzpah, and hopefully he has a long lifespan after doing this. President Olafur Ragnar Grimsson, he used his veto powers, and it's just something nice to see, because in America they usually use the veto powers to screw up the people. In this one, responding to just an overwhelming plea from the people, a petition signed by 25% of the population, begging him to veto this debt package where all the banksters unload all their bad work on the people of Iceland. The debt would have been something like £11,000, what's that, like $23,000, $24,000 per person, every person, young, child, old, anyone. And that you would have to pay this debt off for probably forever, because Iceland is in dire straits economically anyway. But they said not just no, but hell no, and they sent the banksters packing. So of course there'll probably be some veiled threats down the road. Maybe they'll want to try to put a little pressure on them, but that's okay, because it looks like these people found that they have the courage to say no, and they'll probably wage economic warfare on them and try to screw them for a little while and such. But if you all stand together and just say no, they can't succeed. They can do it, they can try, but if you stand firm, there's way more of you than there are of them. So don't be afraid, because you're going to win, and they're just taking advantage of you. It's just absolutely horrid what they're doing to people. Even Haiti itself, you look at this poor country, they are $1.34 billion in debt. A debt they can't pay, that they have to pay interest on, an interest that just, puts a rock around their neck and makes their life miserable. There was some talk a while ago about debt relief, that they'd, write off the debts to Haiti. That's the only human decent thing to do. That should have been done before, but maybe in light of what's happened down there, some of our politicians might find some moral courage and moral backbone to say, enough's enough. This country has suffered more than enough. Let's take the debt burden off them at least. But what I guess they're probably doing is signing them up for more debt. If you want help, that's fine, we'll help you, but you have to take this package, that package, or this package, or that package. You have to wonder, when you see the, the Palace of Port-au-Prince coming down, its leader homeless, sleeping in the streets, you have to wonder if the economic hitman has an earthquake machine, because it appears he surely